The vastness of space stretched endlessly, dotted with stars that twinkled like tiny lanterns in the dark. On a distant planet orbiting one of those stars, a team of scientists worked tirelessly inside a gleaming research station. The station was sleek and metallic, its walls humming softly with the sound of advanced machinery. Among the researchers was Dr. Ryan Carter, a man in his early 40s with sharp eyes and a mind always racing with questions. He had spent years studying planets far beyond Earth. But today, something unusual caught his attention. Ryan sat hunched over a glowing screen, his fingers tapping rapidly on the console. Data streamed across the display, showing readings from Earth's atmosphere and environment. His focus was on one particular detail: water. It wasn't just any data point. It was astonishing. Humans, the dominant species on Earth, seemed completely unaffected by water. Not only did they drink it without hesitation, but they also swam in it, bathed in it, and even played in it. To Ryan and his colleagues, this was unheard of. In most parts of the galaxy, water was considered dangerous. For many alien species, prolonged exposure to liquid water caused severe reactions, burns, illness, or worse. Some avoided it entirely, while others required special suits to handle it safely. Yet here were humans, blissfully unaware of how extraordinary their relationship with water truly was. They treated it as if it were ordinary, an everyday part of life. Ryan leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. "This can't be right," he muttered under his breath. But no matter how many times he ran the scans, the results stayed the same. He called over his assistant, a young woman named Lisa, who hurried to his side. Her blonde hair was tied neatly into a ponytail, and her face lit up with curiosity when she saw what was on the screen. "Look at this," Ryan said, pointing to the data. "Humans interact with water constantly. No protective gear, no fear, nothing. Do you realize how bizarre that is?" Lisa tilted her head, studying the information. "You're saying they don't even know how lucky they are?" "Exactly," Ryan replied. "If we tried to do half the things they do with water, we'd be in serious trouble." The discovery intrigued them both, but it also raised countless questions. How were humans able to withstand something so harmful? Was it natural, or had they somehow engineered themselves to adapt? And why hadn't anyone noticed this before? These thoughts swirled in Ryan's mind as he prepared to report his findings to the Galactic Council. The council was made up of representatives from various alien civilizations, all working together to maintain peace and order across the galaxy. They met regularly aboard a massive orbital station called Zephyr 7, which floated silently above a ringed gas giant. When Ryan transmitted his message, requesting an urgent meeting, the council responded immediately. As he waited for confirmation, Ryan couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and unease. This discovery could change everything. If word got out about humanity's immunity to water, it might spark interest, or even conflict, among other species. What if some factions saw humans as a threat? Or worse, what if they viewed them as resources to exploit? Before long, the council agreed to convene. Ryan gathered his notes and prepared to leave the research station. As he stepped outside, gazing up at the endless expanse of stars, he felt a strange sense of responsibility. Humanity didn't yet know it, but their simple relationship with water was about to make waves far beyond their own world. With a deep breath, Ryan boarded a shuttle bound for Zephyr 7. The journey would take several hours, giving him plenty of time to think. By the time he arrived, he knew he needed to present his case carefully. After all, the fate of humanity, and perhaps the entire galaxy, might depend on how the council reacted to his news. The shuttle carrying Dr. Ryan Carter docked smoothly at Zephyr 7, the grand orbital station that served as the heart of the Galactic Council. The station was a marvel of engineering, its sleek corridors glowing with soft blue and white lights. As Ryan stepped out, he felt a mix of awe and nervousness. This was no ordinary meeting. What he had discovered about humans could shake the very foundation of intergalactic relations. Ryan walked through the bustling hallways, passing aliens of all shapes and sizes. Some were tall and insect-like, their exoskeletons shimmering under the artificial light. Others floated gracefully, their translucent bodies rippling like water. Despite their differences, they all shared one thing in common: a deep curiosity about the universe. Today, Ryan's report would give them plenty to think about. He reached the council chamber, a massive circular room with a high ceiling adorned with holographic projections of distant galaxies. In the center stood a large table surrounded by seats designed to accommodate the diverse forms of the council members. Ryan took his place at the podium, feeling dozens of alien eyes fixed on him. His heart raced, but he reminded himself to stay calm. He had prepared for this moment. Councillor Varnock, a towering insectoid leader with gleaming green eyes, called the meeting to order. "Dr. Carter," he said in a deep, resonant voice, "you requested this session. Please share your findings." Ryan nodded and activated the holographic display behind him. Images of Earth appeared: oceans, rivers, rain, and people interacting with water in countless ways. "Honorable council members," Ryan began, "what I am about to show you may seem impossible, but it is true. Humans, the dominant species on Earth, are immune to water." A murmur spread through the chamber. Some aliens leaned forward, intrigued, while others exchanged skeptical glances. Ryan continued, showing footage of children splashing in lakes, surfers riding waves, and even astronauts drinking water aboard spacecraft. As you can see, they treat water as harmless. For them, it is an essential part of life. Ambassador Lyra, a reptilian diplomat with scales that shimmered like emeralds, raised her hand. Her voice was sharp and dismissive. "Are you certain this isn't some kind of trick? Perhaps they've developed technology to protect themselves." Ryan shook his head. "No, Ambassador. There is no evidence of artificial intervention. Their immunity appears to be natural. They do not wear protective gear or use any devices when interacting with water. It's as if they were born this way." The chamber erupted into chaos. Aliens shouted over one another, their voices rising in disbelief. A small furry creature with glowing eyes jumped onto the table, pointing at the screen. "This cannot be real. Water is dangerous. It corrodes. It burns. It destroys. How can these humans survive it?" Councillor Varnock slammed his fist on the table, silencing the crowd. "Enough," he barked. Turning to Ryan, he asked, "Have you confirmed this immunity extends beyond regular water? What about substances derived from it?" Ryan hesitated before answering. "We haven't tested every variation yet, but based on our observations, humans appear unaffected by even highly purified forms of water. They drink it, bathe in it, and use it daily without harm." The room fell silent as the weight of Ryan's words sank in. Ambassador Lyra narrowed her eyes, clearly unconvinced. "If what you say is true, then humanity poses a unique challenge. We must determine whether this immunity makes them a threat or an opportunity." Other council members chimed in, their opinions divided. Some argued that human immunity could hold the key to solving water-related issues faced by other species. Others feared that such an advantage might make humans arrogant or aggressive. The debate grew heated, with tempers flaring and accusations flying. Amid the chaos, Ryan watched silently, his mind racing. He had expected skepticism, but not this level of turmoil. The council's reaction made one thing clear: humanity's simple relationship with water was anything but ordinary in the eyes of the galaxy. As the arguments continued, Ryan realized that his discovery had opened a Pandora's box, one that would require careful handling if peace was to be maintained. Finally, Councillor Varnock raised his hand again, restoring order. "We need more information," he declared firmly. "Dr. Carter, assemble a team to investigate further. Report back once you have concrete answers." With those words, the meeting adjourned. Ryan left the chamber feeling both relieved and burdened. The task ahead was daunting, but failure was not an option. Humanity's future, and perhaps the galaxy's, depended on what happened next. The next morning, Ryan stood in the briefing room of Zephyr 7, surrounded by a small but highly skilled team. Commander Elena Vega, the mission leader, was a tall woman with short, dark hair and a calm, commanding presence. Her sharp eyes scanned the room as she outlined their objectives. "Our goal is simple," she said firmly. "Observe humans interacting with water. Document everything. And avoid detection at all costs." Joining her were three others. Dr. Jacob Miller, a soft-spoken scientist with glasses that always seemed slightly crooked. Samantha Brooks, a linguist with a knack for understanding languages and cultures. And Marcus Kane, a burly security officer whose broad shoulders made him look more like a bodyguard than a researcher. Each member had been chosen for their expertise, and now they were ready to embark on one of the most unusual missions in galactic history. Their destination was Earth, specifically a quiet coastal town called Seabrook. It wasn't a major city, but it had everything they needed: beaches, rivers, and plenty of human activity. The team boarded a sleek, silver spacecraft disguised as a weather probe. Within hours, they entered Earth's atmosphere, the ship cloaked to avoid detection. As they descended, the planet revealed itself, a swirling mix of blues, greens, and whites. It was breathtaking, even to those who had seen countless worlds. Once they landed, the team activated their holographic disguises. Commander Vega now appeared as a middle-aged woman with curly brown hair, while Jacob looked like a lanky tourist in khaki shorts and sunglasses. Samantha transformed into a cheerful college student, complete with a backpack and floppy hat, and Marcus took on the appearance of a rugged fisherman. They stepped out of the ship, blending seamlessly into the crowd. Seabrook was bustling with life. Families strolled along the beach, children built sandcastles, and surfers rode the waves under the golden sun. The team split up to cover more ground. Jacob wandered toward a group of kids splashing in the shallow water. He watched intently as they laughed and dumped each other playfully. To him, their carefree behavior was astonishing. Back home, such actions would be unthinkable. Nearby, Samantha sat on a bench, pretending to read a book while observing the young couple wading into the ocean. She noted how casually they moved, dipping their hands into the water without hesitation. It struck her how deeply ingrained water was in human culture, something so ordinary yet so extraordinary from an outsider's perspective. Commander Vega and Marcus stayed closer to the docks, where fishermen worked tirelessly hauling nets filled with wriggling fish. One man, Alex, caught Vega's attention. He was in his 30s, with sun-kissed skin and a friendly smile. He greeted customers warmly, chatting about the day's catch. Vega couldn't help but wonder what he'd think if he knew aliens were watching him. As the day wore on, the team gathered in a secluded alley to share their observations. "It's incredible," Jacob whispered excitedly. "They're not just immune. They rely on water. It's everywhere. In their food, their drinks, even their rituals." Samantha nodded. "And they don't seem to realize how special that is. For them, it's just normal." Marcus crossed his arms, frowning. "Normal or not, we need proof. Observations aren't enough. We need hard evidence." Vega agreed. "Tomorrow, we'll run tests. But remember, we can't risk exposure. Stay sharp." That night, as the team reviewed their data, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were witnessing something monumental. Humans' relationship with water wasn't just a biological quirk. It was a cornerstone of their existence. The implications were staggering, but there was still much they didn't understand. Little did they know, their presence had already drawn attention. Unbeknownst to them, Alex had noticed something odd about the tourists hanging around town. His curiosity was piqued, and he decided to keep an eye on them. What started as a routine mission was about to take an unexpected turn. The next morning, the team returned to Seabrook, determined to gather more evidence. Dr. Jacob Miller had spent the night brainstorming ways to test human immunity without raising suspicion. He finally settled on a plan. Spill a harmless but highly reactive liquid near a human and observe their reaction. To avoid alarming anyone, he chose a busy market where people were constantly moving around. Jacob positioned himself near a fruit vendor named Alex, the same man Commander Vega had noticed the day before. Alex was arranging oranges into neat pyramids, his hand steady and focused. Jacob waited for the right moment, then discreetly pulled out a small vial from his pocket. The liquid inside shimmered faintly, almost like oil, but it was far more dangerous. Pure galactic water, a substance that could corrode metal within seconds. With a quick glance to ensure no one was watching, Jacob tipped the vial slightly, letting a single drop fall onto an orange. The fruit sizzled briefly before returning to its normal appearance. Satisfied, Jacob stepped back, pretending to browse through the produce while keeping an eye on Alex. A few minutes later, Alex picked up the contaminated orange. Without hesitation, he wiped it on his apron and placed it back in the display. Jacob froze, his heart pounding. Had Alex been affected? Would he collapse or show signs of distress? But nothing happened. Alex continued working as if nothing unusual had occurred. Jacob's mind raced. This confirmed what they had suspected. Humans weren't just immune to regular water. They could withstand substances far more volatile. It was incredible, yet unsettling. How was this possible? What made humans so different? Meanwhile, Samantha Brooks sat at a nearby cafe, pretending to sip tea while observing a group of children playing by a fountain. She noticed how freely they splashed each other, laughing and shouting with joy. One boy even drank water directly from the fountain, tilting his head back as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Samantha jotted down notes, her pen moving quickly across her notepad. Every interaction reinforced the idea that water wasn't just tolerated, it was cherished. Commander Elena Vega and Marcus Kane stayed closer to the docks, where fishermen were unloading their catch. Vega watched intently as one man rinsed fish under a stream of water, his hands submerged for several minutes. No gloves, no hesitation. "This is unreal," she muttered to Marcus, who nodded silently. Back at the market, Jacob decided to push his experiment further. He spilled another drop of galactic water onto Alex's hand this time. Alex flinched slightly at the unexpected wetness, but didn't panic. Instead, he simply wiped his hand on his jeans and went back to arranging fruit. Jacob stared in disbelief. Not only was Alex unaffected, but he also seemed completely oblivious to the danger. As the day wore on, the team regrouped in their hidden base, a rented storage unit on the outskirts of town. They shared their findings, each revelation more astonishing than the last. "It's not just immunity," Jacob said, pacing the room. "It's something deeper, something biological." Samantha added, "And it's everywhere. Water is part of their daily lives, in their food, their rituals, their fun. They don't think twice about it." Marcus crossed his arms, frowning. But why? Why are they so different? And how did they evolve this way? Vega leaned against the wall, deep in thought. "We need answers, but we can't keep testing them blindly. We're risking exposure." Unbeknownst to the team, Alex had grown increasingly suspicious of the strangers lurking around his stall. Earlier that day, he'd noticed Jacob's odd behavior, the way he lingered too long, the strange vial in his hand. Alex wasn't sure what to make of it, but he decided to follow them when they left the market. His curiosity might lead him straight into the heart of their secret and change everything they thought they knew about humanity's place in the universe. Back on Zephyr 7, the Galactic Council was in chaos. News of humanity's immunity to water had leaked, spreading like wildfire across the galaxy. Media outlets buzzed with sensational headlines. "Earth's invincible species," and "Humans defy universal norms." The discovery captivated alien populations everywhere, sparking a mix of awe, envy, and fear. On planets where water was considered dangerous or even deadly, protests erupted. Crowds gathered outside government buildings, holding signs that read, "Why are they special?" and "Share the secret." Some demanded answers, while others called for immediate action to investigate or exploit humanity's unique ability. Conspiracy theories flourished, with some claiming humans were hiding advanced technology, while others believed they were part of an ancient, forgotten experiment. Ambassador Lyra seized the moment to push her agenda. Standing before the council, she argued passionately that humanity posed a potential threat. "We cannot ignore this," she said, her voice sharp and commanding. "If humans are immune to something as destructive as water, what else might they be capable of? Should we wait until they develop weapons or expand beyond their planet?" Her words stirred unease among the council members. Many nodded in agreement, whispering nervously about the implications. If humans truly held such power, could they become a dominant force in the galaxy? Would they use their immunity to conquer other worlds? Councillor Varnock, however, remained calm. His towering insectoid frame loomed over the room as he raised a hand to silence the murmurs. "Fear should not guide our decisions," he said firmly. "Yes, humanity is unusual, but there is no evidence they seek conflict. We must approach this with caution and respect." Varnock turned to address the council directly. "Let us not forget our own history. Many of us once feared what we did not understand. Shall we repeat those mistakes, or shall we extend a hand of friendship and learn from them?" The chamber fell silent as his words sank in. While some aliens admired Varnock's wisdom, others remained skeptical. A small floating creature with glowing eyes floated forward, its voice high-pitched and anxious. But what if they refused to share their knowledge? What if they hoard this advantage for themselves? Lyra smirked, clearly pleased with the question. "Exactly," she said, pointing at the creature. "We must act now, before it's too late. Humanity may seem harmless today, but tomorrow, who can say?" The debate raged on, dividing the council into two clear factions. One side, led by Varnock, advocated for diplomacy and peaceful exploration. The other, spearheaded by Lyra, pushed for stricter measures, including surveillance and possible intervention. Tensions ran high, with voices rising and tempers flaring. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Alex, the fruit vendor, had followed Jacob discreetly after noticing his strange behavior. He trailed the team to their rented storage unit, watching from a distance as they slipped inside. Curiosity burned within him. What were these people hiding? And why were they so interested in water? Alex waited until nightfall, then crept closer to the building. Peering through a crack in the door, he saw the team huddled together, discussing something in hushed tones. Their faces were tense, their body language serious. Though he couldn't hear every word, snippets reached his ears, phrases like immune, biological anomaly, and Galactic Council. His heart raced. These weren't ordinary tourists. They were something else entirely. Aliens? Scientists? Spies? Whatever they were, they clearly knew something about humans that no one else did. Alex felt a surge of excitement mixed with fear. Should he confront them, run away, or keep watching? Before he could decide, Marcus noticed movement outside. He moved toward the door, his large frame casting a shadow. Alex froze, realizing he'd been spotted. For a moment, panic gripped him, but instead of fleeing, he stepped forward, raising his hands in surrender. "I know you're not who you say you are," Alex said, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. "I don't want trouble. I need to know what's going on." Inside the room, the team exchanged stunned glances. They had been careful, or so they thought. Now their cover was blown, and they faced a choice: silence Alex or tell them the truth. Either way, their mission had just taken a dramatic turn. The room fell silent as Alex stood in the doorway, his hands still raised. His heart pounded, but he forced himself to stay calm. He wasn't sure what to expect: anger, threats, maybe even violence. Instead, Commander Elena Vega stepped forward, her expression unreadable. "How much did you hear?" she asked, her voice steady but cautious. Alex hesitated before answering. Enough to know you're not tourists, and enough to know you're hiding something big. He glanced at the team, taking in their tense postures and serious faces. Look, I don't want trouble. I need answers. For a moment, no one spoke. The team exchanged uneasy glances, silently debating what to do. Marcus tightened his grip on the edge of the table, ready to act if necessary, while Jacob adjusted his glasses nervously. Samantha leaned against the wall, watching Alex with a mix of curiosity and concern. Finally, Vega nodded. All right, she said, lowering her voice. But you need to promise not to panic. What we're about to tell you might sound unbelievable. Alex frowned, but nodded slowly. Try me. Vega took a deep breath and gestured for him to sit down. Once he was seated, she began explaining everything. She told him about the Galactic Council, the vast array of alien civilizations scattered across the stars, and how humanity's immunity to water had shocked them all. She described their mission to observe and study humans, hoping to understand why they were so different. At first, Alex stared at her blankly, his mind struggling to process what he was hearing. Aliens, galactic councils. It sounded like something out of a movie. But as Vega continued, showing him holographic images of distant planets and alien species, doubt gave way to amazement. You're serious, he said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. This isn't some kind of prank. We're very serious, Samantha chimed in gently. And it's not just about water. Your entire relationship with it. It's extraordinary. For most species, water is dangerous. But for you, it's normal. Alex leaned back in his chair, running a hand through his hair. So let me get this straight, he said slowly. You're aliens, and you've been studying us because we can drink water without dying. In simple terms, yes, Jacob replied, pushing his glasses up his nose. But it's more than that. Your bodies seem to neutralize its harmful effects entirely. We've never seen anything like it. Alex shook his head, laughing softly despite the gravity of the situation. Guess we really are special, huh? Marcus crossed his arms, speaking for the first time. Special or not, you can't tell anyone about this. If word gets out, it could cause panic, or worse. Alex held up his hands. Relax, I'm not gonna run off and start screaming about aliens. Besides, who'd believe me? He paused, then added, but why are you telling me all this? Why not just erase my memory or something? Vega exchanged a glance with her team before answering. We're not here to hurt anyone. You stumbled onto us by accident, but you seem reasonable, maybe even helpful. Helpful? Alex raised an eyebrow. What could I possibly do? Samantha smiled faintly. You're human. You live here. You understand your own world better than we ever could. If we're going to learn more about your immunity, we might need your perspective. Alex thought about it for a moment. This was insane, completely unreal, but also kind of exciting. How many people got the chance to help aliens understand humanity? All right, he said finally. I'll help, but only if you promise to keep Earth out of whatever political mess you've got going on up there. Vega nodded. That's our goal, to protect your planet while learning from it. As the conversation continued, Alex found himself growing more comfortable with the idea. These aliens weren't invaders or conquerors. They were scientists, just like him in a way. He liked figuring things out too. Together, they might uncover answers neither side could find alone. Unbeknownst to them, however, news of their discovery was spreading faster than they realized. Back on Zephyr 7, factions within the Galactic Council were already planning their next moves. Humanity's immunity had sparked interest, but also greed. Some saw opportunity, others saw danger. And soon, Earth would become the center of attention in ways no one could have predicted. The team decided to take Alex into their confidence, realizing he could be a valuable ally. With his help, they planned to dig deeper into humanity's immunity to water. Dr. Jacob Miller suggested sneaking into a nearby university lab to analyze human DNA samples. If we can understand the biology behind this, he explained, we might uncover why humans are so different. Alex agreed to guide them, using his knowledge of the town to find a suitable location. He led them to Seabrook University, a small but well-equipped campus on the edge of town. Late at night, when the halls were empty and the lights dimmed, the group slipped inside. Using advanced alien technology, they disabled security cameras and locked doors, ensuring they wouldn't be caught. Jacob took the lead, heading straight for the biology lab. Rows of microscopes, test tubes, and computers filled the room, giving it the familiar scent of science. Alex watched as Jacob pulled out a small device that resembled a pen. "This will extract DNA from any sample we find," Jacob explained. "It's faster and more precise than anything humans have." They searched the lab until they found what they needed: stored blood samples from routine medical tests. Jacob carefully loaded one into the device, which hummed softly as it processed the data. Within minutes, the results appeared on a tiny screen. Everyone gathered around, their eyes wide with anticipation. "This is incredible," Jacob muttered, scrolling through the information. "Human cells contain a unique protein chain, something we've never seen before. It seems to neutralize water's harmful properties at a molecular level." "What does that mean?" Alex asked, leaning closer. "It means your bodies have evolved to handle water naturally," Samantha replied. "This protein acts like a shield, protecting you from its corrosive effects." Marcus frowned, crossing his arms. "So it's not just luck, it's biology." "Exactly," Jacob said, nodding. "But how did this happen? Evolution doesn't usually produce such specific adaptations without reason." Commander Elena Vega stepped forward, her expression thoughtful. "Maybe Earth's environment played a role. Water covers most of your planet, so early humans might have developed this trait to survive." Alex scratched his head, trying to wrap his mind around it all. "So we're special because of where we live." "In a way, yes," Vega said. "But it's still remarkable. Most species avoid water entirely or die trying to adapt to it. Your ancestors turned it into an advantage." As the team discussed their findings, they didn't realize time was running out. Unbeknownst to them, someone else had noticed their presence in the lab. A janitor, working late to clean up after a day of classes, spotted the group huddled over strange equipment. At first, he thought they were students pulling an all-nighter. But then he saw the glowing screens and heard snippets of their conversation. Words like DNA, protein, and adaptation stood out, along with mentions of Earth's immunity. Curious and slightly suspicious, the janitor quietly snapped a photo of the group with his phone before slipping away unnoticed. He wasn't sure what he'd stumbled upon, but he knew it was unusual enough to report. Back in the lab, the team finished gathering their data and prepared to leave. As they exited the building, none of them suspected that their secret was already spreading beyond their control. The janitor uploaded the photo to social media, captioning it cryptically, "Strange visitors in the science lab tonight. Up to something big." Within hours, the post went viral. People speculated wildly about who the strangers were and why they were interested in human biology. Some joked about aliens, while others accused the group of being part of a secret government experiment. Theories multiplied, drawing attention not only from locals, but also from larger organizations eager to investigate. By morning, news outlets picked up the story, sparking widespread curiosity. Reporters descended on Seabrook, interviewing students and faculty about the mysterious visitors. Meanwhile, governments around the world began monitoring the situation closely, wondering if this was the start of something bigger. Unaware of the growing storm, the team returned to their storage unit, excited by their discovery. But their focus shifted abruptly when Alex received a call from a friend warning him about the online buzz. "You guys are trending," Alex said nervously, showing them the viral post. "What do we do now?" Vega's face hardened as she realized the implications. Their mission had just become much more complicated and dangerous. Humanity wasn't ready for the truth, and exposing it too soon could lead to chaos. They needed a plan, and fast. Commander Elena Vega stared at the viral post on Alex's phone, her jaw tightening with each passing second. The blurry photos showed their team huddled in the lab, their equipment glowing faintly under the dim lights. While the image didn't reveal much, the caption hinted at something unusual, something that could attract unwanted attention. "This complicates things," she said finally, her voice low but firm. Jacob adjusted his glasses nervously, pacing back and forth. "If people start asking questions, it won't take long for someone to connect the dots. We need to figure out how to contain this." Samantha nodded, her brow furrowed. "The last thing we want is panic, or worse, governments trying to intervene. They'll think we're a threat." Marcus crossed his arms, his expression grim. "Or they'll try to exploit us. Either way, we can't let them find out who we really are." Alex sat quietly, watching the group debate. He felt a mix of guilt and responsibility. If he hadn't followed them to the storage unit, none of this might have happened. But now, humanity was on the verge of discovering something far bigger than anyone could imagine. "What if we just explain it?" he suggested hesitantly. "I mean, wouldn't it be better if people heard it from you instead of making up their own stories?" Vega shook her head. "Not yet. Humanity isn't ready for the truth. Telling them now would only cause confusion or fear." "But what about the Galactic Council?" Samantha asked. "They'll hear about this too. What happens when they realize our cover is blown?" Vega sighed, rubbing her temples. "We'll deal with that when it comes. For now, we need to focus on damage control." "Alex, do you know who posted this?" Alex nodded. "It was probably one of the janitors. I recognize the angle. It looks like it was taken from down the hall." "Good," Vega said. "Maybe we can track him down and explain the situation before it gets worse." The team quickly devised a plan. Alex would reach out to the janitor, pretending to investigate the post as part of a local news story. Meanwhile, the rest of the team would monitor online activity, ensuring no one else pieced together their true identity. It wasn't a perfect solution, but it was all they had. Later that day, Alex met the janitor at a small cafe near the university. The man, named George, was middle-aged with graying hair and a cautious demeanor. He eyed Alex warily as they sat down. "You're the guy in the picture, aren't you?" George asked bluntly. Alex forced a smile. "Yeah, that's me. Look, I'm not here to cause trouble. I just want to understand what you saw." George hesitated, glancing around the cafe before speaking. "I don't know what you were doing in the lab, but it didn't look normal. Those machines you were using, they weren't human-made, were they?" Alex froze, unsure how to respond. Finally, he decided honesty might work best. "No, they weren't. But please, hear me out. We're not here to hurt anyone. We're just trying to learn more about humans, and maybe help you." George raised an eyebrow. "Help us? With what?" Alex leaned forward, lowering his voice. "There are things about humanity that even you don't fully understand yet. Things that make you special. We're here to study that, not to cause harm." For a moment, George simply stared at him, processing the words. Then he sighed, shaking his head. "This is insane. Aliens? Really? I know it sounds crazy," Alex admitted. "But trust me, it's real. And if word gets out too soon, it could create chaos. That's why we need your help to keep this quiet." After a long pause, George nodded reluctantly. "All right, fine. I won't say anything for now. But if this blows up, don't expect me to stay silent." Back at the storage unit, the team breathed a sigh of relief when Alex reported the conversation. While the immediate threat seemed contained, they knew the clock was ticking. The viral post had already drawn global attention, and it was only a matter of time before someone dug deeper. Meanwhile, aboard Zephyr 7, the Galactic Council convened once again. Ambassador Lyra wasted no time seizing the opportunity. "Humanity has discovered us, or at least suspects something," she declared, holding up a tablet displaying the viral post. "This proves they cannot be trusted to keep secrets." Counselor Varnock countered calmly. "Suspicion does not equal hostility. Perhaps it is time we considered reaching out to them directly. Secrecy may no longer be an option." The council erupted into debate, divided over the next steps. Some argued for isolation, while others pushed for diplomacy. As tensions mounted, one thing became clear. Humanity's immunity to water had set off a chain reaction, one that would change the galaxy forever. Back on Earth, the viral post continued to spread like wildfire. News outlets pounced on the story, speculating wildly about the mysterious visitors spotted in the university lab. Some claimed it was a secret government project, while others whispered about extraterrestrial involvement. Social media buzzed with theories, memes, and heated debates. Humanity's curiosity had been ignited, and there was no turning back. Alex found himself at the center of the storm. Reporters camped outside his fruit stall, eager to interview the man in the photo. Friends and neighbors bombarded him with questions, wondering if he knew more than he let on. At first, Alex tried to play it cool, brushing off inquiries with vague answers. But as the pressure mounted, he realized he couldn't keep dodging forever. He needed to think fast, or risk exposing everything. The team gathered in their storage unit to discuss the growing chaos. Commander Elena Vega paced the room, her face tense with worry. "This is spiraling out of control," she said. "If governments start investigating, they'll trace this back to us." Jacob nodded, his glasses slipping down his nose. "And once they do, it won't just be humans involved. The Galactic Council will step in. And not everyone on that council has peaceful intentions." Samantha leaned against the wall, her arms crossed. "We've already seen how divided they are." Lyra wants to intervene, while Varnock pushes for diplomacy. "If we don't act soon, humanity might become a battleground." Marcus frowned, his voice low but firm. "Then maybe it's time we stopped hiding. Maybe it's time we told them the truth." The room fell silent. Telling humanity about aliens, water immunity, and the Galactic Council was risky, but so was staying silent. Alex broke the silence, speaking up hesitantly. "What if Marcus is right? I mean, people are already talking about this. Wouldn't it be better if they heard it from us instead of piecing it together themselves?" Vega sighed, running a hand through her hair. "It's not that simple. We're not just risking our mission. We're risking your entire planet. Once you know about the galaxy, there's no going back." "But isn't that inevitable?" Alex asked, his voice rising slightly. "You said yourselves that humanity's bound to find out sooner or later. Why not make it on our terms?" The team exchanged uneasy glances. They knew Alex had a point. Humanity's awareness of the universe was inevitable, but timing mattered. Revealing too much too soon could lead to panic, paranoia, or even exploitation. Yet staying hidden felt impossible now. Finally, Vega made a decision. "All right," she said, her tone resolute. "We'll prepare a statement, but carefully. We'll explain who we are, why we're here, and what makes humans unique. No threats, no demands, just facts." Over the next few days, the team worked tirelessly to craft their message. They recorded a video explaining their mission, using simple language to ensure everyone could understand. They included footage of distant planets, alien species, and the Galactic Council, emphasizing the vastness of the universe and humanity's place within it. They also highlighted humanity's immunity to water, framing it as a gift rather than a weapon. When the video was ready, they uploaded it anonymously to the internet, knowing it would spread quickly. Within hours, the world watched in stunned silence as the truth unfolded before their eyes. Aliens existed, and they were fascinated by humans. Governments scrambled to respond, calling emergency meetings and launching investigations. Scientists raced to verify the claims, while ordinary people grappled with the realization that they weren't alone in the universe. Some reacted with awe, others with fear, but everyone agreed on one thing: life would never be the same. Back on Zephyr 7, the Galactic Council erupted into chaos. The leaked video confirmed humanity's growing awareness, forcing them to confront the situation head-on. Ambassador Lyra demanded immediate action, while Counselor Varnock urged patience and understanding. The debate raged on, but one thing was clear: humanity's entry into the galactic community was no longer a question of if, only when. As Alex stood on the beach that evening, watching the waves crash against the shore, he felt a strange mix of pride and uncertainty. Humanity had taken its first step toward the stars, but the journey ahead promised to be anything but simple. The Galactic Council convened once more aboard Zephyr 7, the atmosphere tense and charged with anticipation. The leaked video had reached every corner of the galaxy, sparking reactions ranging from awe to outrage. For the first time in history, humanity was no longer an isolated species. It was a topic of universal discussion. Ambassador Lyra stood at the center of the chamber, her voice sharp and unyielding. "This is exactly what I feared," she said, pointing to a holographic projection of Earth. "Humanity now knows about us. What's to stop them from exploiting this knowledge, or worse, using their immunity as a weapon?" Counselor Varnock countered calmly, his towering insectoid frame exuding authority. "Humans have shown no signs of aggression. They are curious, yes, but curiosity is not a threat. We must approach them with patience and respect." The room erupted into heated debate, with council members shouting over one another. Some argued for strict control, proposing blockades or surveillance to monitor Earth's activity. Others called for diplomacy, urging the council to extend an invitation rather than impose restrictions. Amid the chaos, Commander Elena Vega transmitted her team's report, summarizing their findings and emphasizing humanity's potential for peaceful cooperation. Finally, after hours of deliberation, a vote was called. The decision was narrow but decisive. The Galactic Council would offer humanity a chance to join the interstellar community. It was a bold move, one that carried risks, but also hope. Back on Earth, world leaders gathered in emergency sessions to discuss the alien message. Scientists, politicians, and philosophers debated the implications of stepping onto the galactic stage. Public opinion was divided, with some celebrating humanity's newfound place in the universe and others fearing the unknown. Despite the uncertainty, consensus grew around one idea: responding to the invitation. A global coalition was formed to represent Earth, tasked with preparing a reply to the Galactic Council. Alex, who had inadvertently become a symbol of humanity's connection to the aliens, was invited to share his perspective. Standing before a panel of dignitaries, he spoke simply and honestly. "We're just people trying to figure things out, same as anyone else. If the galaxy wants to meet us, we owe it to ourselves, and to them, to say yes." The response was drafted carefully, expressing gratitude for the Council's outreach, while acknowledging humanity's limited understanding of the wider universe. It concluded with a humble request: guidance. "We want to learn." The message read, "Teach us how to be part of your world without causing harm." When the message reached Zephyr 7, the council chamber fell silent. Even Ambassador Lyra seemed momentarily struck by its sincerity. Counselor Varnock broke the silence, his deep voice resonating through the room. "This is a beginning," he said, "not just for humanity, but for all of us." As plans were made to facilitate Earth's integration into the galactic community, Alex returned to Seabrook. The town had quieted down since the initial frenzy, though reminders of the upheaval lingered. News vans parked on street corners, strangers stopping him for autographs, and endless discussions about aliens at the market. Yet none of it compared to the weight of what lay ahead. Standing on the beach at sunset, Alex dipped his hand into the waves, feeling the cool water rush over his fingers. He smiled softly, marveling at how something so ordinary had sparked such extraordinary events. Humanity wasn't special because it could survive water. It was special because it dared to dream beyond the horizon. In the weeks that followed, ambassadors from Earth prepared to board ships bound for Zephyr 7. Their mission was clear: to represent their planet with humility and courage. As they looked toward the stars, they carried with them the hopes of billions, ready to take their place among the cosmos. For humanity, the journey had only just begun. And though challenges undoubtedly awaited, one truth remained certain: the galaxy was vast, but together, anything was possible.